If you haven't heard about the Symphony of the Fey event, that is what's going to be we're going to be getting tomorrow. So let's go read over the patch notes. So, special note: Symphony of the Fey has arrived. Hearsome has been corrupted, caused by the Fomorian king now residing in the Shadowfell following his defeat. This curse has scattered Hearsome's power all across the worlds, and it's up to you to gather his power back in order to put an end to the Fomorian king's threat. Aligned with the Summer and Winter Court, equip one of 5 special loots, discover musical notes, complete special encounters, and earn cosmetic rewards. So we're going to look at the Fey guide later, but we're going to be looking at this stuff here. So balance updates. So update 76 includes a series of balance changes with particular focus on early heroic gameplay. Please see below for your information. We're going to do a quick skim through this for anything that is notably different or notably missing, because there were some things that were changed along with here and some things that were missed. I don't know if anything else snuck in, but we will see. So number 1, the finesse changes. All weapons in pen and paper that work off of finesse in like 5th edition are now going to work like that in DDO, which means if a weapon in 5 uses dex or strength for damage, like a dagger or a short sword, it will just work like that in DDO. You don't need to have a feat to now get dex to damage with daggers. You can just use it right away. Also, scimitars will be treated as light weapons as well, and will benefit from the weapon finesse. Crossbows will now use dexterity to hit and damage, which means that crossbow rogue will be a good starter. So I'll have to redo the beginner basics for rogue. Oh, goody. Dagger, dart, and shuriken thrown weapons now use the highest of strength or dexterity. They naturally use dexterity to hit and strength to damage, for those of you that don't know, because it's how hard you throw them. And then throwing axes and hammers now use strength to hit and damage directly. They do not use dexterity at all. So throwing hammers and axes are all strength. And the brutal throw feat, because that's what this used to do, is instead now +1 to damage for every 8 points of strength, which does not make it meta, but it's neat. It's +10 damage basically. And then these specific changes, everywhere across the game there were areas to get dex and damage with all the light weapons. They have changed those now. So weapon finesse is now just going to give you some hit bonuses. The Ranger Core instead just works with all one-handed weapons. So as a result, you can get dexterity to hit and damage with any weapon you want. So if you want to have dual wield bastard swords that use dex, you can do this now with 6 levels of Ranger. Assassin, instead, it just gives some damage and fortification bypass. Tabaxi just does like quarterstaff nonsense. Wait, do quarterstaffs... Are quarterstaffs not fitting into weapon finesse? It's actually an excellent question. I don't know if quarterstaffs fit into weapon finesse, because in 5 they're finessable weapons. But here it says improved instincts is with quarterstaff only. We'll see. Deepwood Stalker gets fort bypass and +3 to hit, which is actually really good. Bard Swashbuckle, this doesn't do anything. General changes have been made through a swashbuckler text to support this adjustment, so it's just changing the text. Wood Elf and Halfling, dex, hit, and damage just works with all weapons now, and Halfling Thrower gives +2 to hit and damage with thrown weapons, which again doesn't really matter. Quarterstaffs are not finessable. Interesting. Okay, good to know. Then we go to the general feat changes. Cleave and Great Cleave are getting buffed. Are they good now? Yes, Great Cleave is actually quite usable, so you can definitely consider using it. Sunder and Improved Sunder got a huge buff, giving increased to its attack roll, which means you're going to hit more often, and a damage bonus on Improved Sunder. Ability that is actually very good, and if you play in in-game raids, you will hear the Sunder effect go off pretty regularly, because people use Sunder a lot at endgame. However, this is going to make it more enticing during the level process, so this is still pretty good. Hamstring and Slicing Blow had their cooldowns reduced to 6 seconds and now gain a damage bonus. No one will ever take Hamstring because this ability is not good. However, Slicing Blow is interesting. The fact that it has 6-second cooldown for some extra damage means you could take it for characters that have few attacks, and 40% damage is pretty nice. Stunning Blow and Sap's cooldowns are now 10 seconds, and the DC for Stunning Blow is now base 14. Really big buff to Stunning Blow. Stunning Blow is an ability that was like always on the fringes of being able to take. The reason why you don't take Stunning Blow very often in a lot of character builds is because feats are too tight. Every single melee character build already has 4 or 5 feats locked away, which is usually a stance bonus, so power attack or precision, combat style, combat style, combat style, and then improved critical. So that's 5 of your 7 feats already accounted for, and you don't really have too many. So if you're playing a barbarian, it's really hard to fit in stunning blow. So unless there's a change, I don't see stunning blow fitting in too many places, but somebody might take it, especially if you get bonus feats or if you multi-class fighter. Multi-classing fighter just gains more value from this because 2 levels of fighter is 2 feats, which helps out tremendously. Spring attack gets a damage bonus, which no one cares about. And now improved precise shot now passively increases the ability score modifier to damage for longbows and shortbows by 50%. So improved precise shot is now mandatory for longbow and shortbow users to give them even more damage. Will this make longbow and shortbow meta? No, but it will increase their power, which is just a good thing. The reason why longbows and shortbows fall behind all the other ranged attack styles is that they attack slower. Counterintuitively, they attack slower than crossbows, which, like, I don't know, I watched Lord of the Rings and I don't think that's how that works, but they do, so that's kind of their limiting factor, but it is what it is. Now let's go to the enhancement tree changes. Razor Claw has a max catch level of 20, so now it no longer bugs. I mean, it is a solution to the problem. They did fix it, so for those that don't know, if you got the Razor Claw Magic Fang, the Magic Fang buff gives you a buff based on your caster level. So because it uses your character level, since it's a racial ability, it would be character level 34. So your caster level 34, but you get 7 extra caster levels from epic and legendary levels, bringing up to 41, and spells above level 41 don't function properly. So as a result, that was a problem. So instead their solution is to cap it at maximum caster level 20. The main problem with this is it kind of just nerfs the ability. So now you get +6 to damage out of Magic Fang, which is still good. It's not my favorite solution, but it is what it is. Blightcaster's Blighted Charge and Jaws of Doom use Conjuration instead of Necromancy. I do not know why this change has happened. This will have no impact on Blightcaster. If anything, it's probably worse. Favorite Soul Archon's Fury. Remove spell point cost per blast, so the damage has also increased to 2d6s. Again, this doesn't super matter. It's a little bit more damage in your Archon, which is kind of neat. So you can get stacked 10 stacks, and that means after 30 seconds, your Archon will be dealing an extra 20 d6s to opponents based on fire spell power. So if you have 30-second long fights, this will be useful. Radiant Servant. These are some actual, like, pretty meaningful changes. Positive Energy Shield. So this buff is now twice your heal skill and 4 times your heal skill if your target is above level 20, which means that you can actually use this pretty effectively as a temporary shield buff. This ability used to be really, really bad and not really helpful, but now if it's 4 times your heal skill and you get your heal to anywhere from 140 to 150, that's 600 temporary hit points, which is not bad. Efficient Power Heal going down in cost is just nice. Divine Healing now scales with spell power, which is cool. This didn't scale with spell power before. Divine Healing may in fact be the best heal over time in DDO, so Radiant Servant's coming back in a big way. And then Reactive Heal has a minimum healing quantity of 2,000, which means it's actually a lot better. Is it good? Not really, but it's just a lot better than it used to be. So overall, really good changes to Radiant Servant and kind of helping it fit in. And this also affects Sacred Fist as well, which means Sacred Fist with Divine Healing will be very, very good. Expect to see some Sacred Fist Divine Healing information out of me because this ability is so much better than it used to be. It may be something that makes Sacred Fist just kind of extremely powerful in the long run. Moving on to Mechanic. Mechanic is getting a lot of interesting changes. All of the bomb abilities that are in the tree are now going to use Disable Device for their DCs, which means they are significantly more powerful than before. It's much easier to keep your Disable Device higher, so this is a massive buff. On top of that, Improved Traps just gives Disable Device, so there's the DC is different. And also all of the abilities have been changed. Their damage has been increased, but on top of that, they also gain more damage based on your sneak attack dice. So as you pick up sneak attack dice in the mechanic tree, these will all scale with you. There's been a number of changes here that you can see. And as you see, the new DC is in here. Time Bomb also has been changed to scale with range power, has a DC, and Leg Shot has also been changed. Leg Shot is now line up and sit down, a range attack which is 250% damage modifier and knocks down a target for 2 seconds with no save. Mechanic has never been the most flashy or exciting tree for ranged character builds. Time Bomb has had its place in the sunlight, but overall, ever since we got Endless Fusillade with the Artificer, or was it Battle Engineer, or more recently the Crossbow No Holds Barred from Inquisitive, it's been a really tough sell to use the Mechanic tree. But this might help it out. The attack is really bad. The animation puts 99% of the time. Wait, is it like a 6-second cast time? or something like that. Because that would be interesting. Oh, they're updating the notes with corrections. Oh, interesting. That's the Arrow of Discord. Oh, it has just a slow animation. Well, we'll see. It looks like it's a good ability, but if it's really horrible, we'll see. And then Core 5 of Expert Builder with Sniper from T5 gets crit multiplier accessible by level 12. Again, this is just a nice upgrade to make it so you can multi-class a little bit more freely. Oh, so it's like basically if anyone's moving, you can't do anything. Interesting. I see. Vanguard for both Fighter and Paladin has been buffed, and the buffs are pretty substantial. Number 1, we have Follow-Up got a buff. This used to be 3, 6, and 9 melee power for, I believe it was 6 seconds. And now it's 5, 10, and 15 melee power for 30 seconds. So basically, Vanguard's now gotten 15 melee power from stunning, which is pretty sweet. Shield Smash does more damage instead of its little base damage here, as well as granting a PRR MRR buff called Battle Guard. Battle Guard shows up in a lot of places. It lasts 12 seconds, stacks 5 times, and gives you extra defense. A lot of people think that Battle Guard is extremely, extremely overpowered because this is basically 50 physical and magical resistance rating. But remember, the stacks expire if you're out of combat for 12 seconds, which is going to happen pretty regularly, and it's very difficult to get up to 5 stacks unless you're consistently fighting targets all of the time. So you will not see 5 stacks most of the time unless you're in like an endgame raid scenario. However, there is one exception, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Shield Charge applies a knockdown, and the cooldown is 15 seconds now. Shield Charge is now bananas. Very powerful ability, and Armored Strength melee power bonus has been increased from 10 to 15. So overall, they've increased the melee power in the Vanguard tree a little bit. The follow-up is the most impactful thing because this will be up 100% of the time. And the shield smash damage is, again, also substantial. So we will see how this goes. But overall, this is a buff to Vanguard, and is one of the reasons why I didn't post my Vanguard Paladin video yet is because I was waiting on these changes to come through. Kenzai is also getting buffed, where Read in the Wind, I'm going to skip ahead here, has an 8-second cooldown, and instead will grant Battle Guard, which is here. So if you're a fighter, you can get Shield Smash and Read in the Wind as a fighter Vanguard, and be able to get double stacks, and this will allow you to have max stacks basically all the time. So as a result, it's going to feel pretty good on a Kensai fighter, on a Vanguard fighter, which to me feels fair because I feel like Paladins already get the defensive bonuses from all of their feats that you don't really get on a fighter. So I think it's kind of a fair trade-off, but also this will affect just regular Kensais. Reading the Wind expected to be taken by everybody. Also, Shattering Strike bonus is at 100% damage. Again, I think it's cool that there's a reason to put points into Shattering Strike, so I don't really have too much of an input on this one. Next up, we have Vistani Knife Fighter. Core 6 attack speed bonus only applies when using a dagger or kukri. Finally, this is a nerf to Vistani Knife Fighter for non-dagger users. If you are out of the loop and you're like, what do you mean non-dagger users for the capstone? Yes. Some of the most powerful builds for the past several years in DDO have taken the capstone of Vistani, even though they are not using daggers, because attack speed is really, really good. So by locking this into daggers, all of those builds that were doing that will now have to do other things, which for me is a theming success, because I think that the Vistani Knife Fighter tree, being the best tree in the game for most builds, regardless of whether you're using a dagger or not, is a little confusing. So I think this is a good change thematically, and the people that have been working on those builds will find new ways, so expect to hear about it very soon to make those same builds very powerful. Inquisitive. Inquisitive got nerfed by 15 ranged power. It doesn't really matter if you're an Inquisitive player, you won't really feel this that much. You might feel it at like level 18, but by the time you get back to 20, you get your damage back, so you don't really notice. I don't know why this is here, but it is here, so it is what it is. Archmage buff, so Archmages now grant extra DCs and get some more universal spell power for a total of an extra 30. Nice change, pretty minor. Tactical Mobility and Battle Engineer is cheaper. Enlightened Spirit, Beacon and Displacement are cheaper. And Soul Eater, Feed on Magic and Supreme Hunger are cheaper. And Tainted Scholar, everything is cheaper. And Eldritch Power grants more packed dice, or more base dice, sorry, which is interesting. Are you going tier 5 Tainted Scholar? No. But it is neat. So that's kind of cool. Next up, there's a couple other changes here. Miscellaneous, which is Death Ward. So Death Ward no longer completely negates negative damage from inflict and necro spell damage. So this is a thing because for years and years and years, if you had Death Ward, you would take no damage from negative damage. So if an enemy hit you with like a harm spell, you just take 0. Now it is 50%. This is a direct nerf to defenses from these type of effects, but before people get upset, I want to talk about a couple things. Number 1, negative damage is very underrepresented in Dungeons & Dragons Online. There's basically only a few effects in DDO or a few monsters that actually use any amount of dangerous negative damage. Most notably stuff like in Temple of the Deathworm or in Skeletons in the Closet, 2 endgame raids. There's a lot of negative damage, but the number of monsters that actually cast any amount of dangerous negative spells is very, very, very low. It is not a common spell for enemies to cast. However, there are a couple minor and passive negative effects. And so there's actually a reason for why they're changing it. One of the problems with Death Ward is that it made you, not only did you take 0 damage, you're actually immune to those effects. So a lot of monsters couldn't affect you with secondary things that would otherwise be more dangerous. So something to look out for if you're going to be playing hardcore on the Feywild event is the skeleton mages. If you had Death Ward, an arcane skeleton wouldn't affect you with its aura at all. However, now, if that arcane skeleton has a like Soul of Cruelty buff, so it's a Soul of Cruelty, the arcane skeleton's passive effects, the champion effects, will now apply to you, which makes it a little bit more dangerous. So that is something to pay attention to. It's one of the few areas where this actually will affect your character. But this is actually a big win for other players, because what they've had to do for a lot of endgame bosses is they've had to make it so that those bosses basically strip all negative resistance because everybody just happens to have Death Ward. So how can they make a boss themed around negative energy, which is obviously going to be a mate, like a lot of antagonists will be like kind of necromantic or undead. So how can they have that theming going if everybody's immune to the effects? So they've had that type of stripping capability on many different monsters in the past. They're going to get rid of that. So now they won't do that anymore, which is kind of cool. So if you're a Pale Master, you will be able to go and do the raid Skeletons in the Closet without instantly dying every time. If you've been a Pale Master, if you get targeted by the Ghost Flame, she hits you with a debuff that takes away your immunity, and then you kill yourself with your own Death Aura. It's very cool. So now that's not going to happen anymore, which is very, very exciting. It also means that you can actually use a Pale Master as an interesting tank for that raid, because on the higher difficulties, you can simply and easily tank the Ghost Flame when she will never be able to apply her big negative damage to you. So there's actually some interesting options opening up there. And then lastly, one of the changes why this is actually kind of good is that a lot of monsters do cast Death Ward, and when they do cast Death Ward, if you're a Pale Master, if you're a Dark Apostate, if you're a Apothecary Alchemist throwing out your negative spells, those creatures will take 0 damage, but not anymore. Now they just resist, which means you can actually still deal damage to them. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. I would say overall that Death Ward change is, if no one told you about it, you probably wouldn't notice it, but I do think this is personally a better change for the video game, and I think this is a good thing. You're going to find all the Horrid Wilting casters. Horrid Wilting is not a negative spell, so it is not affected by Death Ward. Horrid Wilting is a untyped spell. Yeah, you might die if you say versus Finger of Death. That's true, but if you have a 50% damage reduction, I don't think that would even affect it. Also, apparently Lost Souls and Reaper raids, the drop rate for Lost Souls and Reaper raids has been greatly increased. SSG is aware that there's an issue with casters and raids, and so they're trying to like help out to make casters a little bit more viable. Hopefully there will be more changes coming in the future, but for now, this is what we have. Problematically, the only casters people are bringing are like healers, so healers will just have more infinity mana, but overall, I mean, healers won't be upset about that. And then we have Fury of the Wild. Quick Cutter has been nerfed. Its cooldown has increased by 2 seconds to 8. Quick Cutter's damage duration has been moved up to 10 seconds on the bleed, and the bleed damage has been reduced to 1d6 per character level as opposed to 3d6 per character level, although you get this damage back as long as you invest in the tree. Overall, this is a very mild nerf to Quick Cutter, and it will still remain likely the highest damage ability in the entire game for many different builds. So overall, if you're like, oh no, is my build going to get destroyed? If no one told you Quick Cutter was nerfed, you might not even notice. because of how overpowered it was. So again, generally it just means if you want to get the full power quick cutter, you do have to invest in the tree, which is a good standard to set for epic destinies. Things should upgrade as you move into the tree. They did it for adrenaline, but they didn't do it for quick cutter, and now there's a bit of parity between the two. I would like to see in the future that SSG continues to buff up some of the epic strikes and make them feel as good as this quick cutter, because this is a much more balanced ability, and we'll see how that goes in the future. And then Unyielding Sentinel's Celestial Mandate now applies the Battle Guard effect. And if you're using a shield, it always applies 1 extra, even if you miss, which is funny. So you can get 2 stacks right away. So big buff to Unyielding Sentinel. So overall, some good stuff. And then we have other changes. Mr. Ravenloft Expansion Bundle Item Vendor can now be found in the Hall of Heroes. Players that own Ultimate or Collector's Edition Mr. Ravenloft can now speak to this NPC to claim items from this expansion. Sure. Relentless Fixes. Helmed Horror can no longer fly, preventing issue where the enemy refused to return to the ground. The time taken is now available for runes. Mask of the Killer shows its correct appearance. The memory of animated objects from the life of the lifeless now has its correct description, which is good. So a bunch of bug fixes. Music and Threats Old and New plays properly. Oh, interesting. I didn't know the music was broken, so that's cool. Mad Tea Party has a bug fix. Grandmaster of Flowers Lotus Blade's Longbow now properly grants wisdom to attack portion of Zen Archery. I didn't know it didn't, but that's fair. I don't know anyone that's ever used this. The debuff from Minion of the Eldritch Dark Gift and its improved version now reduce spell crit damage by the correct amount. I don't know how much was it doing before. Swashbuckling's weapon requirements now list light weapons, where it was previously listed finessable, and tooltips to help avoid confusion. The Helm of the Warblade and its legendary versions now apply Crown of Summer. It took a year, but we got it. Took a year. All right. Enemy dodge piercing effects now bypass their correct amount of dodge. This is good. For those that don't know, the final boss of the raid Relentless had an amount of dodge bypass, but instead of dodging like some of that, or bypassing some of the dodge, it was actually just bypassing all dodge. Bit of a bug. Hardcore Season 9 now has a leaderboard, and a few spawn a trap object effects in Double Rainbow have been replaced since the trap effects failed to initiate reliably. Cool. What's Double Rainbow? Is this Rainbow in the Dark? Or is there another quest called Double Rainbow I don't even know about? Oh, Shrutty Mantle. Sorry, I was like, what quest are you talking about? Shrutty Champion, duh. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And while we're here, let's take a look at the actual Symphony of the Fey event. Oh yeah, overall, my thoughts on the patch notes. Really good patch. Huge changes. The finesse changes are going to make a lot of things a lot more fun. The feat changes are stuff that's a long time coming. I like the fact that they're going and gussying up some classic feats. That's really good. And a lot of these changes are good. I'm excited for Sacred Fist, and I might make a Sacred Fist build that actually focuses a lot on the healing element of it, because it seems really interesting. And my Vanguard fighter, or my Vanguard Paladin, sorry, is going to love this change. So a lot of really, really good stuff here. So hopefully they keep it coming. All right. Next up, Symphony of the Fey. So here's some has been corrupted, causing blah, 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 blah. You can get the rewards. So how do you do this event? Number one, you travel to the House from Beyond in the harbor of Eberron. You talk to Yearsome, and you select whether to speak to the Winter Court representative or the Summer Court representative, and you pick up a loot, and it goes in your cosmetic shield slot. So this is the loot here. So it's going to go into your cosmetic shield slot. So if you can't use a cosmetic shield during this event, just so you know, you have to use like a regular, or if you have a shield, it's not going to override it. It's not going to be a visible cosmetic. It's just that's where you equip it, because it's probably the least used cosmetic slot in the game. So how do you take part? When you have the loot equipped in your cosmetic shield slot, you'll encounter musical notes of different colors while adventuring throughout the quests and wilderness areas. So again, you have to have the loot equipped, and then you will see things. If you don't, let's say you're playing and you don't want to deal with this event, you can just take the loot off, and now all of a sudden you won't see these magical notes. So you can turn it on and off at command by having the loot equipped or not equipped. Most motes will randomly appear while you adventure. Each color gives you a clue as to its difficulty. You decide whether and when to face the encounter. So if you're somebody who is playing a lower power build and you can't deal with it, you will be able to choose, you go, oh, I can do one color, but I can't do another one. So you can just avoid the ones you can't do and still progress through the event. So when ready, you click your loot to unlock the note and face its encounter. The musical notes will disappear if you don't use them. So if you walk away, you can't just like come back. So if you have to shrine first, you might miss out on the loot, for example. If you beat it, it'll add to your loot's durability, which is how you unlock the different rewards. And there are 2 sets of 5 loots. One loot does not have a level gating mechanism. The other loot's required to be at least a certain level to progress them. So again, there's gonna be different ones that are dependent on the levels. They said that they made it this time so you can progress as you go. So you should like grab one loot and then by 10 it should be done, and then you get another one, and then by like maybe 20 it should be done. You grab another one, it's done by 30, that sort of thing. And here is an example of the musical notes that they have here. And then mote color. So green, easy. Blue, medium. Purple, hard. So you get to choose. Also, allegedly, there are 4th motes that you can find, but these are hidden throughout the entire game. So each loot, this is what they said. I don't know if it's going to be noted here. Each loot, there's 5 of them. So there's 5 different cosmetic rewards. I'm assuming we'll see pictures of them. Maybe the mount is one of the things you can get. Each loot has 1 note somewhere. Okay, and you also find them in the game. Someone data mined the special modes and posted it as a spoiler already. Awesome. Anyways, hopefully that is a decoy and not the real thing, but we'll see. That's really disappointing. But anyways, there are special motes that you find. Each one is going to basically give you a large amount of progress, and it only corresponds to one thing. So let's say there is a mote here. We'll use like one of these quests as an example, right? So I don't know where this is, but let's say it's like Ravenloft Wilderness here. If there's one that's kind of chilling, oh, this is Wrath of Earth, right? So we're in Wrath of Earth here. So if I'm in Wrath of Earth, let's say there's one note that just spawns here, and that's the special golden one. It's only going to correspond to one of the loots. So you have to have the loot to then get the specific one. So keep that in mind. Anyways, so now you have the 2 options, Winter or Summer Court. So take up your journey by speaking to the Summer Court representative in Hawthorne to have an easier Symphony of the Fey experience with fewer restrictions. If you're a dedicated adventurer up for a particularly hardcore challenge, speak to the Winter Court representative, Baroness Hilda. So I'm going to try to explain this in the short order. If you are with the Summer Court, okay, you can have a, if you're with the Summer Court, it means that you are able to pick up the loot at any level. So let's say you don't want to have to make a new character. You don't have to do anything. You like playing your characters that are existing. The Summer Court loots, all 5 of them, can be picked up at any level. So you just take your main character, level 34. You go to the Summer Court guy. You do whatever the intro thing is, so they teach you what's going on. You pick up all the 5 loots, and you can just unlock them all on that character. The Summer Court loots can be done on any character at any time. Some of them will have restrictions, so some will be like, you must be at least, level 10 or level 20 to be able to equip that one or gain progress. But you can do all of them on existing characters. The Winter Court, however, is a hardcore style event, which will give you loots that you can put on that give you a Vow of Glory buff. And they can only use items that drop during the event. Additionally, it'll only take characters that are level 1 that have no past lives. So as a result, if you want to do the Winter Court, which is the other event, you have to make a brand new character with no items and no nothing, and you can only equip gear that you find during the event. You can't use any of your old gear on that character. You can't have any past lives, anything like that. So it's meant to be like, sort of like starting a brand new character. As well, the Winter Court event and the Vow of Glory is only while you are alive. If you die, you lose your Winter Court progress. So your loot is gone and you got to start over again with a brand new character. Now, you still have all your items, so you could bank your items, make a new guy, and then put your items back on and keep going and trying to make progress again. But again, that is basically the idea there. It's meant to be a hardcore style system. So if you want to do the hardcore system, you can't reincarnate your character. You have to use a brand new one. However, this doesn't affect your ability to play with other players. So if you want, you can either make a group with you and your friends, and everyone makes new characters and you play through. You can instead make a level 1 character and try to solo your way through the Vow of Glory and try to work all these cosmetics all on your own. Or if you have friends that just don't care about the hardcore thing, they could all reincarnate. You can join the TR group and just kind of walk around and get completion as long as you don't die. Again, it's entirely up to you how you want to engage with it. So some people might not like that, but again, they're kind of giving the flexibility to the players. So it's kind of up in the air. At least it's better than what they were thinking or what I was thinking they were doing, because you do have to get specific new gear. So you can still take your level 34 characters, farm out new gear, and then give it to your lower level character if you wish. But for the most part, and I think what a lot of people are going to do is just make a new character and level up and just have some fun. So again, we will see. Yes, Iconics is another thing. If your Iconic hasn't leveled, taken any XP, you can, at level 1, go and leave your area. So you're level 1, you don't level up. You can take your character to the Winter Court person, and it cuts off your XP. And then you can start playing an Iconic at level 1. So when people have asked for years for the ability to play Iconics at level 1, now you can make an Iconic at level 1. You can't TR into one, but you can make a brand new one. So keep that in mind. There's also a Vow of Glory leaderboard. I don't know what the leaderboard is going to be recording. We'll have to see when we get in-game. And then helping Hearsome. Each game world will be collecting motes, and we'll see Hearsome's condition improve. Once your game world has succeeded in bringing Hearsome out of danger, the entire game world will receive a buff for the remaining duration of the Symphony of the Fey event. So you get a buff for the entire server, which is pretty sick. So I love that. So keep that in mind. The buff, I don't know if they tell everybody what the buff is, so I'm not sure. But that's one of the reasons to engage with the event. Even if you're like, oh, does it really matter? The more people that turn in stuff, the more buff gives out to the entire server. The sooner you get the buff activated, it's going to last. The event is, I believe, for 3 months. So it'll last for everybody. And whether you're playing in the event or not, the entire game gets the buff. So we'll see. And then notes. In heroic difficulty, you can only claim a mote if you're closer than 3 levels over the quest. So you can't just over level it. So for example, if you're level 20, you can't go into level 4 quests and start trying to farm motes. It doesn't work. And then you can claim all 5 loots at once and then just have them equipped to have the benefits. And then note issues, some lower level items do not have their proper Winter Court iconography, but these items can still be equipped. Interesting. And then I assume that we have some rewards here. We have what looks like an outfit of some kind. We have the helmet here. We have a horse. We have wings, and we have what looks like some type of cosmetic horn or something. Maybe that comes with the helmet. I'm not sure. So completing the loot will award you the cosmetic based on the loot you have completed. We have the cloak. I'm not going to lie. This is a nice cloak. That's a good one. All right. This is a good cloak. I like it. We have another cloak. So lesser cloak. Very exciting. We have another cloak. I'm assuming one of these is the hardcore one. I think this is probably the Winter Court one, which looks really, really nice. So, because this is the Summer Court. Yeah, this is 100% the Summer Court cloak, whereas this is 100% the Winter Court cloak. So, by the way, if you want this one, you're going to have to probably do the hardcore to get it. That's pretty cool. Additionally, players may discover sheets of music during the event that can be played if you're a bard or have a musical instrument equipped when you click the musical sheet in your hotbar. This music suppresses most music within certain range of you, but it'll be interrupted if not played during combat. Sure. I don't know what that means. See, the event, Fey event is through November 3rd, and the NPCs will remain available so you can get your rewards later. So we have the horns here. So you get horns with a little hat thing. We have cloaks, it looks like. The wings and the horse, if I had to guess. So hold on. Cloak, helmet, wings, horse. So that seems basically what we've got. So I think the outfit is actually just from Mythranor. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure it's just from Mythranor gear. But yes, that is the event. It starts November 19th, which is tomorrow as of time of recording. And so hopefully people are excited about some of this stuff. So get excited, have some fun, play the game, people.